Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Tony Jacopin. I'm happy to be with you again. Today we're going to see one of the most recent strategies that everybody is commenting, everybody's delighted to say, hey, I've studied this concept. So what are we talking about? It's a blue ocean strategy based on Kim and Mogoy, two faculty from INSEAD. So here, what are we going to do? Well, first of all, I'm going to present you the generic framework in which it works, how you can apply it, and how some plausible example can make you go for this concept. Okay, it's really important that you try to measure until what extent this type of strategy is adequate for your organization or not. Okay, so let's see and let's start without making any pause. So when we consider this element, first you need to consider that this framework, this sector analysis, a little bit like in Porter. Well, basically you need to say, hey, when we're talking about the industry, what factor should we be eager to eliminate? Or by position, should we say, hey, it would be great to move it to this? And same way, you say, okay, you've got some factors that are below industry standard, some factors that are above industry standard. What can I do? Okay, so it's about designing new value curves that will, by definition, change completely the industry background. In order to make, just to let you know from the beginning, your competitors become completely irrelevant. This is the aim of the blue ocean strategy. How can you go for new demand, and because there's no competitor positive on this demand, what's going to happen? So as you can see, it's pretty clear, like pretty obvious as concept, because it's much more difficult to put in action. So what are we talking when we sum it up? So basically, it's often said that according to who you get, who's your enemy, will tell you how strong you are. So in this case, Kim won't say to go against Porter. Wow, against God Porter, imagine what it means. So it just means that it's quite interesting to see. So basically, if we want to sum up the differences, what can we say? First, say, importer would be much more competing in existing marketplace. So if you got Pepsi, Coke fighting, well, basically, nobody will dare to move it good. When you go in a contested marketplace created, well, nobody will be able to jump into it. So this is the reason why it might be interesting. In Porter, it's about beating competition, it's about improving it, it's about creating some metrics, and you go and improve on a recurrent basis. Okay, and here it's completely different. You make competitors irrelevant. Why? Well, because basically they don't have the R&D, they don't have the right product, and they don't know the customers. So all what you've been doing make it irrelevant. Example at this point, typical one could be Apple. Most of the time, and this is really important when we evoke this, is that when Apple created the iPad, basically competitors are irrelevant during a period of time. Nevertheless, it's important to keep it in mind, by working, they will come back. Therefore, you need to design your product in order to and launch your product when you are already ready for round 2 of innovation. Okay, like that basically they will never catch you up. Okay, so this is point 2. In the third case, about exploiting existing demand. Obviously, if you want to make your competitor irrelevant, it's about you go on new demand. So here it's a big, it's really important to insist on this, is that here is a risk. Because if you go for other demand, what's up if the demand doesn't answer or is not ready yet for your product? So this is the reason why you may be, it may be better if you got strong financial acumen, or if you get a really agile structure where you can incorporate all of people as soon as you want. I'm not saying it's great, but if you put all your balls in the same basket, basically, you know, some eggs, sorry, in the same basket, basically you may suffer some problem. So if it doesn't work, so it's really important to keep it in mind. Fourth aspect, it's about making value cost trade-off. So because you, it's just about making some small adjustment. It's, for instance, if we consider airline industry, well, what are they doing? Well, they offer more or less the same services before EasyJet, Ryan, BlueJet came in. So what happened? Well, there was people were traveling only during for jobs, and they were moving and having the plane exclusive once a year for the summertime. So here it's about saying, hey, the newcomers, they say we want to break the value, we want to show that it's possible to earn much. If you travel a lot, you'll discover plenty of places, you'll enjoy it a lot. Even if you, okay, we'll make it so the experience won't be as nice maybe, but because you'll be enjoying so many weekends and it will be so affordable that maybe making it democratic without forwarding security is a major issue by having new plane. Make it work. So here you break the value cost trade-off, really important. And last but not least, it's about most of the time, not in all the cases, importer is about, hey, are you going for differentiation or low cost? It's either or. You cannot go for both, as it is the case with Blue Ocean. Just to give an example, when we're talking about low cost, you can say, hey, you've got a concept that is called bottom of the pyramid. That refers to the number of people living with less than $2 per day. And you say, well, you may have lots of people there, so I don't know what you bet, but it's important that you know that more than 50% of the worldwide population live in this condition. We're talking about 3.5 billion, I insist. And basically you say, if you can develop a new product for them, and basically you can have maybe little margin, but if you're able to generate more awareness concerning your product, you can make it work. And this is the reason why you've got so many companies. P&G, for instance, say, hey, nobody can buy me Pantene. It's too much expensive as shampoo. If you have some people that even cannot afford a shampoo. So the issue is to go for step by step by saying, hey, look, shampoo is great, it improves your routine, it improves your life expectancy, it improves the self-esteem, and so on and so on. And maybe in 10 years, 15 years, they will be able to acquire Pantene. And because they will remember that P&G was there and they really need it at the moment where they move from poverty to middle class, you see that it would be the possibility to create differentiation and local. So really important to look at this. So as we can see, plenty of options. Illustrations that we may have, should say, hey, we already referred to the iPad, so I'm not going to comment it. EasyJet as well, I'm not going to comment it. So I will insist on the three other examples that we've got now: Smart, Google Glass, and Grameen Bank. So Smart, it just the issues that oil is becoming always more expensive. You've got scarcity in terms of commodity, and always more people in cities, and not the possibility to have always more parking places. So in that sense, if you get Smart for people living in cities that want to just drive it or to rent a car, it's Smart. The alliance compounded initially by Smart Mercedes. It's a key issue because you provide lots of value to these users. Fantastic in that sense. Google Glass, typical product where basically it's not for optician because it doesn't correct vision, not yet at least, but it's really interesting because it can enable Google, in this case, to see how you read, how you can deliver some messages, just to be sure that you can gather the information that you want. This is the theory. Praxis concerning Google can let us imagine that what they're really eager to do is that they would like to know which pieces are we looking first and last, just to charge us more, or to charge, sorry, not us as users, but charge us companies more in terms of, hey, if you get this positioning for the ad just below the Smart and on the left side of the EasyJet. This is where people are reading first. If you can put it and people are reading it, oh, you will accept to pay more, because basically if you get a higher return on investment, it will work out. So let's take an example. And last example, it's concerning Grameen Bank, about this Bangladeshi studied its PhD at Vanderbilt after civil war. Well, came back to this country. The civil war say, well, just try to see how it works, how I can help, stop giving lectures, and say, hey, just noting that it was $6. I'd say $6 in 1974. He just realized that he could help 42 women in entrepreneur, and so you can see the loans that they did. And so, well, if I can help them, it's fine. But if you see that on top of everything, they all pay back. And he reproduced years experience in several places in the country, in Bangladesh, and he was surprised to see that it was working always. So he would say, why didn't these women got a loan directly? Well, it's difficult because for Islamic banking things are not so easy, and in that sense, when Yunus, after asking so many times to local banker, why don't you do it? They don't know, we're not, we don't want to do it. Well, huge market, because if you consider that half population is taken, made by women, well, if you can have access to this segment, well, if they are more dynamic, well, fantastic. So it's been working, creating a scoring system, and right now what is really interesting is that going in a place where no bank were going, now all the banks are going in this. So IMF, even bank, African Development Bank, Asian Development Bank, Inter-American Development Bank, commercial banks, they're all in. So really interesting to see what's a mandate for mankind. I think it's fantastic in that sense. So if you want to sum up, what can we say? Well, basically, when we are talking about Blue Ocean, it's just about making your competitors irrelevant, not focusing on existing product or services, but by trying to develop new categories of product. So we say not so easy to do to go for it. It requires either financial muscle or time, and people that can get some insight. But it has to be noted that despite all these initial difficulties you may have, it's a major attack in terms of applied business, because basically it's much more inductive. Meanwhile, core is much more deductive. You need to fill up the framework. Here it's about guessing at what can work, what not, and this is the reason why it's great quotation to business. So this is the reason why you didn't lose your time. Now it's time to apply it for you in your company. Hope you enjoy this element with K2ONE. Bye-bye. See you soon.